Hi guys and welcome to Avalanche's Final Fantasy VII playthrough. This is the second part of the side questing portion of the walkthrough, and now what we're going to do is going to look to complete one of the optional villages and quests, the Gongaga village.
So now we've done sort of the enemy skill part of the side questing. One of the next things that we're able to do is complete one of the side quests that involves exploring a new town. I'm just going to fade out. Now the reason why I say side quest is because this town can be completely avoided. You do not need to visit the town in order to carry on with your game. Now, the town we're going to visit is Gongaga, which Dio spoke of when we were in the Golden Saucer. Now, the reason why this is a really important town to visit in terms of gameplay is because it reveals a lot about what happened 5 years ago at Nibelheim. Not explicitly in terms of, oh, this happened, that happened, but it gives you a hint about some of the things that don't add up, if you like, you know, some of the gaps in the storyline. Now, what's also important is how you choose to view these storylines. Essentially, when we go into Gongaga, there'll be a few sort of battles to fight, and there's an optional sub-boss. But there's also a chance, after you've killed the sub-boss, to go back outside and use your PHS. Now, the reason this is important is because depending on who's in your party depends on what you learn. So that's one of the things you've got to look forward to, if you like. Just before we continue, though, I'm just going to go to this little area here. Now, when we go in here, it says no one's here, and we'll come back later. And that's literally it. There's nothing we can do. But I want you to remember this area here, because this area is known as the weapon seller's house, and this is where we can use the mithril. Now, we won't have a chance to use that mithril until close near the end of Disc 1, but when we do have a chance to use it, this is where we can use it. So just keep that area in mind. So without further ado, we're going to go towards Gongaga, which, if we follow the buggy, it's just through here, and it's in this disused reactor space here. Now, when we go in, the first thing that you'll notice that will happen is we'll get into a quick cutscene, and we'll find out that there is Reno and Rude. And now we're going to have a new boss. So this is the first time we've sort of fought a boss, you know, almost since Genova. And so, you know, I haven't got my enemy skill materials equipped. And the reason why is because they take up a space where I could be learning, you know, to improve my materias. Because obviously enemy skill doesn't grow. So the reason why I don't want to have them on is because this battle, it's not too tricky if you know the right strategies. Obviously we can't cast haste or any of the other things. So Reno's a bit angry and they're here, and Elena said not to go easy on the girls. You have a chance here to say what happened in Sector 7 or out of our way. So I'm going to be a bit aggressive. So here we are now, a boss battle, against Reno and Rude. Now they'll fight as a duo, and they'll fight quite tactically. So the first thing before we start, you've got to get Ramu off straight away. And then I'm going to cast Cure All. And if you want to, you can sense the Turks. Your piece might be slightly different, but on this game, Reno is sort of quite an aggressive attacking Turk, and he has slightly less hit points. Rude can be quite defensive. He often looks to attack the person that Reno attacks or cast cure spells. So this will be the first boss battle you've fought ever, really, where the bosses can react to what you do and heal themselves. It's also worth trying to steal some items off them. So Reno's got a few attacks that can do some decent damage. And he has, like I said, just over... On your game you have about 2,000 hit points, on mine he's got 2,600. So there's a bit more damage. And if I just sense Rude, we'll find out what sort of hit point he's got. Now the reason why this is important is because Yuffie has actually learned Cure 2, which is really useful here. Even though we don't need to heal everyone, but we were able to cast Cure 2 and heal all our party members equally. So Rude's got the same hit points. On your game you'll have about 2,200. You'll notice as well that they like attacking the same person repeatedly. This is sort of tactically advantageous to them. So we've managed to steal a speed drink from Reno. That's an item which will speed us up later on in the game. So now I'm going to focus on just defeating Reno. And I'm going to cast Shiva with Barret. And Ifrit. So now I've got one of my items. I can kill off Reno and just focus on Rude. you'll notice when I try and do an activity where the summon materia is active, I can't. So I've used one of my summons, the other two summons are just going to be coming out, so with any luck, Reno and Rude will be on low life now. So I could either do Bolt 2 on all of them, but I want to try and get the item off Rude as well. And then I'm going to cast Grenade Bomb. Actually, it might be worth casting Hammer Blow, because what it does is it blows away an opponent. Now, because this isn't cast as a proper boss, it does sometimes have a chance. However, the failure rate can be quite high as well, so I'm going to cast Grenade Bomb just to make sure. And then I'm going to cast Cure All, because all the characters are quite low. So that will definitely kill off Reno, and he'll just obviously walk away. Now, once you've killed Reno, Rude then has a chance to stay or a chance to go. It varies. So sometimes you'll find out that he stays, sometimes he goes. Either way, you don't need to worry too much. And we managed to steal one item off Reno. We didn't get the item off Rude, but there's no concern there, really. Also, when you fight them, sometimes you can get an X potion. Now, we've managed to find a few X potions through stealing, which you can also do. But an X potion is essentially a healing item which heals your HP completely, and it will be useful much later on. Sorry, not much later on. Quite soon against a boss battle, which is undead, because it will heal the undead completely. So Cloud's now a bit concerned that they were following us through a spy, but Cloud, he trusts everyone. He doesn't want that to even, consider there being a spy. So now we're in the jungle, in the Gongaga area. This is sort of the lower area of the central continent, and exploring this area, we can find various things, and there's a lot of side quests to be done here. You'll also notice that we'll start fighting enemies called touch-me's, which are essentially frogs, and when they attack you, they turn you into frogs. You still get the full experience and AP when you fight. When you're in a frog mode, all you can do is physically attack. The one thing that's really advantageous, though, is that you can find these in groups of up to 6, and they give you over 20 AP per frog. On my game, it's slightly higher. Now at the turn there, I turn right. This is an area which gives us access to a nice summon materia. So all you do is you go up here, and then you'll see a small scene where a Shinra helicopter flies in. There's a few different enemies around here. There's a heavy tank that we can steal from if you like. None of these enemies around here are that strong. They're all around about the level 20 mark. They look like they've got a lot of hit points, but they don't do a lot of damage, and my characters have already got near 1,000 hit points. So here it's just a case of you can either physically attack, or you can use your limit breaks, etc. I'm quite low on MP, so I'm just going to use physical attacks here. Now, once I've got past this enemy and got the item, I'm then going to go out and use a tent and then cut back in, which I'll fade out to try and speed up the video. Now, Gongaga is an area, it used to be, like Coral, a mining town, which had reactors in, but as you can see, if you look around, the reactors are disused, not completely broken down, no use to anyone. So we might look around and find a few items here, and there's a bit of disused materia here, which Shinra don't want, but we'll take gladly. We'll take anything that's free. And it's the newest summon materia. It's the strongest one we'll have. We've only had Ramu a short time, but we've already found something even better, which is called Titan. Now, you have to be careful how to find it, because what happens is, just as we come into the reactor, Sang and Scarlet arrive. And Scarlet, obviously the head of weapon development, wants to have a look at reactors, because then reactors will be producing energy and materia to try and power things. But we don't quite know what their plan is yet. You only get junky materia from junky reactors. Scarlet's obviously not very happy. She's obviously got a bit of an ego complex. She wants big, large, huge materia. You can make the ultimate weapon if you have some. And now Hojo's gone, there's a bigger budget for the weapons development. In other words, Hojo himself cost a lot of the weapons development budget. So, Scarlet's laugh with a hia-ha-ha, and Heidegger with the ya-ha-ha. As much as they appear similar, they aren't best of friends. And Cloud's now trying to work out what on earth Shinra are up to. this big, huge materia. But just before you leave, make sure you inspect the area that Scarlet said was junky, because we'll find a piece of an orb. So, if we reach for it, we get Titan. So, you've also got to be careful now, because what we're doing is we'll be equipping new summon materia, but we'll be de-equipping other summon materia, so you've got to be careful about how much you can learn. And we're now getting to the stage where we're finding it hard to keep all of the materia on us at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place with Barrett the Titan materia and get rid of something else, because what you'll find is you'll be balancing what materia you're leveling at what time. Now, one of the materials I'm leveling with Yuffie is Transform. Now, I'm never really using Transform materia, but once it gets another 15,000 AP, it's completely mastered. It's one of the first materia you can master really quickly. And the reason that's important is because once you have that mastered, you can then put it to one side, leave it, or sell it and make a big profit on Gil. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until it's mastered, leave it, and try and get other materia mastered. Now, you won't know why we're doing that yet in the game, but trust me, the more materia you get mastered and the more copies that you keep, the better you will be situated for the really hard battles coming later on. So I'm just going to fade out now and use a tent now. Come back in. Just after I use the tent, I'll use the tent now. I'm going to swap one of my party members. I'm actually going to swap Yuffie for Tifa. Now, don't worry too much about this, guys. It's not sort of a big swap, and we're not going to be keeping it like this for long. The main reason I'm doing this, I'm just going to swap that, and then I'm going to see if I've got any other 4 slots. Yeah, I've got another silver armlet, so I can take all the materia from Yuffie. And the main reason I'm doing this is just because it will change some of the cutscenes and allow me to learn a bit more. So obviously, there's no boss battle, we're going to go left here. And this will take us into the Gongaga village, and obviously avoid some of the battles. But just before we continue, there's a piece of materia that's hidden there. And when we get to this cut through, we need to go right, not left. If we go left, it'll take you straight back out the village. So just continue up here, this will take us straight into Gongaga village. And here we are. So there won't be any battles here, but as you can see, you know, it's a reactor explosion. That's the reason why the reactor's all failed and junky. Now, when we're in this village, there's a bit of a sort of non-paralleled viewing point, because we can see the ruined reactor here, but the ruined reactor was actually further behind us. So I'm not quite sure how that perspective works. All you've got to do here is have a quick explore, and there's a few items and shops to have a look at. So you've got a chance to buy accessories. There's an accessories shop, materia shops. This shop here actually sells mystifying time materia, so I'm going to buy a copy of those each. Time is what gives us haste, so that speeds things up. That's going to be a materia that's really important to level up. Obviously the enemy skill, Big Guard, gives us haste and both barriers. So just, you know, keep everything in mind. There's a few sort of accessories here we might not have already used. I'm going to buy a copy of a white cape and a fury ring. Now, the white cape isn't that useful, but the fury ring is. It's used for quickly training things up. Now, Berserk status doesn't let you do anything other than attack, but it makes your attacks so much stronger, like in a lot of other games. And the reason why that's important is if you know you don't need to do anything other than attack, you can almost have the game play for you. You can just run around, and the game will do all of its attacking for you. But be careful, because when you're in Berserk status, you can't get out of it. So it's sort of a training aid, but only use it when you know you're going to win. I'm going to sell a few high potions and an ether just to make a bit more money, because obviously I've spent a lot. I'm just going to fade out now until I get to the place we need to go into. Now, once you've been around all the shops and whatnot, this is the house we're looking to go into, the bottom one in the village. Now, if you have Tifa in your party, you'll learn a lot more about what happens here. Do you know anything about our son? His name is Zack. 10 years ago, he left for the city saying he doesn't want to live in the country and he's going to join the soldier. Have you heard of Zack? Now, Cloud doesn't know. He wrote to us 6-7 years ago saying that he had a girlfriend. No, Tifa wasn't Zack's girlfriend. But she does seem to remember Zack. That seems a bit curious, and if you go into your party now, she's immediately left. So, yes, something's fishy there. Have you met someone called Zack? You know, 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, but Zack's not contacted them in over 10 years. And Tifa's now ran all the way up here. Zack. Do you know Zack? No, she doesn't know him. So Tifa's adamant she doesn't know this Zack. Sounds just like you leaving town and joining soldier. So obviously Tifa's quite proud that you did make it into soldier out of a group like that. So did you get lucky or did you work hard for it? Well, you worked hard for it. Now she's going to join back your party. If you go back down here again, no other cutscenes happen, just gives you a little insight that Tifa clearly knows something more than she's letting on. But for some reason she doesn't want to tell you. And if you go into the menu here, it says Zack's home. So clearly this person Zack does have an impact on the story, we just don't quite know what yet. That's all there is essentially to doing Gongaga. You know, we've got ourselves a new piece of materia which we haven't yet fully used, called Death Blow, or D-Blow. It's a new type of command materia which allows you to do a critical hit. Now I'm not going to equip it because I haven't got the room for it really, and I'm trying to equip lots of other materia. But Death Blow in essence, it has sort of 60% of the chance of hitting, but doing double damage. So you know, do twice the damage for half the hit rate. But once your hit rate's really high, Death Blow's a useful thing to have. It always does critical hits and does loads of damage. But at the moment I haven't really got the space for it. So that's the end, really, of some of the side quests we're going to do now. So the next step to do for us is just to continue on. So we're going to get back in a buggy and head along the road. As we continue on up through here, you'll realise that there's a red dot that's near us, which will be the next town to visit. This town is a big sort of visiting point, if you like. And just before we get there, though, we will have chance to learn another enemy skill. Now this isn't put on, you know, the previous video, the side quest video, because we're going to be travelling forwards anyway, so it's almost on the way. Now we've been fighting these frog monsters a long sort of time around here. Now you can get into a battle like this one here against lots of them. Now they will have a chance to cast a spell called Frog Song, which casts frog and sleep on everyone. Now, these aren't that particularly strong, but they're just very annoying to fight because they just constantly put you in frog status. So I'm going to kill a few of them, and hopefully by the time I kill a few of them, they'll cast the frog song on me. I'll let this battle play out in its entirety so you can see how annoying and tedious they can get. Here we go, we've got frog song now. And it's cast it on Yuffie, which is the one person who doesn't have the materia. I've got manipulate on me just in case I need to manipulate one of them to do it on a specific character. So they've cast it on Barrett, now Barrett will have learnt it. I would say you have to be careful here that you don't get killed. However, you don't really need to worry because they do so little damage. They've cast it now on Cloud, so Cloud's learnt it. So I'm just going to fade out now. That's all back now. When they attack, and if we go up here and we go to a menu, we'll be told we're in the Cosmo area. Now, you might not remember this, but Red 13 promised the party that he would go as far as Cosmo Canyon, which is his hometown, and then he wouldn't continue any further. Now, this is very close to Red 13's hometown. Now, if we try and take the buggy any further past Cosmo Canyon, i.e. skip out the Cosmo Canyon part, it will suddenly break down. And will stop working. And it's had a little explosion, and no one knows what's wrong with it. The reason this is important is because if you have a look on the map, if you go north a bit further, there's another town, but we can't go to that town until we've been into Cosmo Canyon. Now, the reason why this is important is because the next town will be another big plot point. So these next two towns are...
Okay, and that was the final part of the side quest part A aspect of Final Fantasy VII walkthrough by Avalanche. That's all we can really do for the time being. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with the mission by going towards Red 13's hometown, Cosmo Canyon.